First of all, welcome to all of you in the second edition of this series 2.0. The Gurwan University Gadchiroli Postgraduate Teaching Department of English organized an online lecture series that's called the Noe Series Season 2. This series is beginning from the 12th May 2022 to 21st May 2022. Uh, on the online platform is Microsoft Teams. We are invited to near about the 10 speaker is belong from to the different region in Gurdwara University, and some speaker is from to the Rashtra Sant Tukaji Maharaj Nagpur universities. Uh, Welcome to Noise Series 2.0. First of all, I welcome to our HOD Dr. Vivek Joshi sir and the inaugural speaker Dr. Nomesh sir, Head Department of English, uh, Mahatma Gandhi Arts, Commerce and Science College, Armori. Behalf of Postgraduate Teaching Department of English, I welcome you, sir, and Dr. Joshi sir. Uh, the aim the aim of Noise series to spread the awareness related with English language and literature to the students, and it's one type of is binding between student and teacher in the Gondwana University. These inaugural sessions, I request to Dr. Vivek Joshi, Head PGTD of English Gondwana, for the inaugural session.
Thank you, Dr. Vaibhav, for inviting me to speak a few words on this occasion. Uh, I thank Dr. Nomesh for accepting to be very first speaker in the second series of second 2.0 of Noise series, and the experiences from last edition were thrilling, and we can see that even after the series had taken place, the viewers are watching these lessons, speakers sessions on YouTube, and day by day the utility of these topics that the speaker have discussed is getting momentum. And we hope to continue with the same legacy that we started last year. And this year, to continue this, we have invited speakers from different affiliated colleges. Uh, no doubt, they are the experts of their own domain, but they are also generous enough to share their expertise with the wider audience, because earlier they used to share this knowledge and information with their college and with the students of their affinity. But now with this platform where they were, we have invited them to speak about, they will reach to various students of various colleges spread from Gadchandur. Nomesh sir, you will be surprised to know we have
Yeah,
received registrations from Gadchandur to Kochi, and from
yeah, yeah.
Varora to Chamurshi and far ahead Aheri. So this way, we are happy that we can extend this particular knowledge and expertise with wider audience, with the students, and this way the teachers also are very interested in maybe attending this particular series. As I can see, few teachers are also interested and they have joined this. And as the series go ahead, they will also be in a greater number in future. The range of topics that these speakers have chosen to speak about is right from today. For example, Dr. Nomesh will speak about English Ghazal, where I'm sure he will be talking about out of his research experience, because he has PhD on this particular topic, if I'm not wrong. And then starting from this Ghazal, which is very untapped as far as English literature and English speaking community is concerned, to where Dr. Durgesh will talk about gender in age of digitization. Of course, gender studies is not a new domain, but he will be talking about gender in context with the digitalization. So I'm sure the teachers and the students will be also equally interested in knowing what he has to share, and they will get benefited out of this. And the same line, that the speakers will start to speak about importance of English language in India, and then how to improve communication skills, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure with the wide range of these particular speakers, the students will get benefited. And of course, they can watch repeat telecast and repeat version of this particular series on the YouTube channel of PGTD of Gondwana University, Gadchiroli. So those who are registered here and those who will watch this series on YouTube, I request them to share information about this particular series through their maybe sharing with the wider audience, with their community, professional learning networks, and so on and so forth. And this way, let us contribute in taking this series to the new heights. I thank my colleagues, Dr. Vaibhav, Dr. Pramod Jaure, Dr. Shilpa Athwale, and the students particularly, because you will be happy to know this year we are extending this facilitation activity to our students. So some of our students will introduce the guests. They will propose a vote of thanks. Some alumni will also be a part of this organizing team. So this way we are extending this particular experience to all stakeholders of this particular PGTD. So with this, I conclude and I welcome the speaker of this session and all the sessions in future. Thank you very much, Dr. Vaibhav, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your informative and informative speech for a noise decision and your best wishes for our online sessions. Before moving to the presentations of by Dr. I introduced today we have among us the subject expert and the first speaker of noise series 2.0, Dr. Nomesh is presently working as uh, head of head of the English department, Mahatma Gandhi Arts, Commerce and Science College, Harvard. Sir done his MA in English and also in Marathi. Then his NET, BA and PhD from Gondwana University, Gadchiroli. Today's speaker we have various roles as a creative writer, singer, and noted Ambedkarite Marathi poet. Uh, in currently, sir has published the two poetry volumes and 21 research papers published in a current academic career. Uh, Welcome you, Dr. Nomesh Nishan, to the first sessions of Noise Series 2.0. And I hand over this session.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. No,
Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Nomesh Mishram, Head Department of English in Mahatma Gandhi Arts, Science and late Nasruddin Bhai Panjwani Commerce College, Armori. Firstly, I am thankful to Dr. Vivek Joshi sir, Dr. Vaibhav Masram sir for inviting me in this No Age Lecture Series 2.0. So I feel a lot of thankfulness to Dr. Vaibhav Masram sir for giving me an opportunity to deliver a special lecture on English Ghazal, a new horizon in research. The topic of my lecture is English Ghazal, New Horizon in Research. The reason why I have selected this topic is that many scholars of English, many researchers, and many students of English literature, they don't have idea that Ghazal is written in English language. So they have a very little idea that Ghazal is written in English. And because of this, in order to acquaint them with the fact that Ghazal is also written in English language, in order to attract the attention of the readers, the scholars and the researchers of English towards a very less known topic of English Ghazal, with a wish that they should conduct their research on English Ghazal also. With this intention, I have selected my topic in this lecture series, and my topic is English Ghazal, a new horizon in research. So Ghazal and English Ghazal, how is it possible? Still the question is raised by many. Many scholars don't have idea that Ghazal is written in English. Ghazal is actually written in Arabic, Persian, Urdu or Hindi languages. But the English teaching fraternity do not have idea that Ghazal is also written in international language English. So in order to acquaint them with English Ghazal and some of the English Ghazal writers, I have selected my topic. Firstly, I would like to explain the idea, the concept of Ghazal. What is Ghazal as well as English Ghazal? Ghazal is actually a series of couplets in which every couplet is an independent poetry itself. All the couplets of Ghazal are autonomous in nature. Every couplet of Ghazal is an independent poetry. Ghazal is written in a single meter. And the main components of Ghazal are Matla, Makta, Radif, Kafiya, Beher. These are the main components of Ghazal. But before talking about English Ghazal, I would like to trace the origin and development of Ghazal as well as English Ghazal. So at first, I would like to talk about the origin and development of Ghazal, how Ghazal was born. In Arabic language, the meaning of the word Ghazal is a talk or conversation with the women. Ghazal was originated in Arabian and Persian language. And the meaning of the word Ghazal in Arabian language is a talk or conversation with the women. And the meaning of the in language is the melancholic cry of the deers cornered by the hunters. So if you want to know the history of Ghazal, we should go back to the 7th century. 7th century Arabia, long before the birth of Islam. The seeds of Ghazal were sown in the deserts of Arabia. The Arabs, the people who were living in Arabia, they used to wander from one place to another person, just like the nomadic tribes. They used to move from one place to another place in search of food, money, shelter, and water. The lives of the Arabs were full of hardships and difficulties because every day they used to wander here and there in search of water and food. So, after the hard toil of the day, the hard labor of the day, at the time of evening or at the time of night, the Arabs used to assemble at one place. They used to gather where they used to arrange the public dancing or public singing. Some of the poetically gifted people, the Arabs, they used to arrange the poets' meet those days also. And in these poets' meets, they used to sing the songs composed by themselves, the poems written by themselves. One of the most popular poetic form of the Arabs in the 7th century was Qasida. Qasida means a poem of praise. In this Qasida, the Arabs used to sing about, they used to describe the heroic deeds of the heroes of past, as well as they used to describe about their ancestors, their leaders. So Qasida was very popular among the Arabs those days also, in which they had written the descriptions about their leaders and their ancestors. But before presenting a Qasida, there was a custom among the Arabs to present a couplet of 2 lines, and it was called as Tashbib. Tashbib was a couplet, a stanza of 2 lines. So before presenting in these poets' meets the Qasidas, the Arabs used to present a couplet of 2 lines, which was usually known as Tashbib. And it is said that the Ghazal has its origin in this Tashbib. In the 7th century, the Arabs adopted Islam. And after adopting Islam, they announced the war of religion, which is known as jihad, against many countries. And one of the countries against whom they had announced jihad or war of religion was Persia. In the 9th century, the Arabs, in order to spread the religion, Islam, they had announced jihad or the war of religion against Persia in the 9th century. So in the 9th century, they attacked, they assaulted Persia. They won Persia. And many Arabs, they started living in Persia. So the Arabs started living in Persia, and with the cultural assimilation of the Arabs and Persians, it is said that there was the birth of Ghazal. The Arabs had come to Persia, they started living there, and there was a cultural assimilation between the Arabs and the Persians. The Arabs had brought with them Qasida also. But instead of a Qasida, Tashbib, which was abound in love and romance, was liked by the Persians and the Persian poets. One of the greatest Persian poets of the 9th century, whose name is Ki Rudki, his attention was attracted by Tashbib, a stanza of 2 lines or a couplet which was presented before Qasida. Ki Rudki, a great Persian poet of the 9th century, he was attracted towards Tashbib. Tashbib was abound in love and romance. And he separated this Tashbib from Qasida. He separated Tashbib from Qasida, and he took these 2 lines. These 2 lines were full of romance and love. He added to these 2 lines, Tashbib, his own 2 lines. Again, he repeatedly added 2 lines. And in this way, from the Persian or Arabic Tashbib, there was the birth of Ghazal. And because of this, it is said that the first perfect Ghazal was written in Persian language, and it was written by Persian poet of 9th century, Ki Rudki. And because of this, Ki Rudki is known as the father of Ghazal. Not only the father of Persian Ghazal, but he is also called as the father of Persian Ghazal. So in the 9th century, Ghazal was written in Persia. But with the Mughal inventions, Ghazal was spread in every corner of the world. The Mughals invaded India in the 12th century. With the Mughal invasions in India in the 12th century, Ghazal entered in the literary panorama of India. So Ghazal came to India in 12th century via Persia. But when the Mughals came to India and when they started living in India, they had brought with them Ghazal. And the history of literature, it is said that the Mughals have given two important gifts to India. One of them is Taj Mahal, and the second one is Ghazal. When Ghazal entered in the literary scenario of India in the 12th century by the Persians or the Arabians who had come in the 12th century. But in 13th century, Amir Khusro, who is known as the father of Hindi language or Hindavi language, he criticized Ghazal, the poetic form of Ghazal. According to Amir Khusro, Ghazal is a poetic form in which there is strict adherence to the rules and structure. And because of the rigidity of structure and rules, Amir Khusro firstly severely attacked this poetic form of Ghazal. But after a few years, when he studied Persian Ghazal, he came to know, he realized the beauty, the modesty, the delicacy, the aesthetics, and the importance of Ghazal, the strength of Ghazal. And Amir Khusro, who severely attacked, who severely criticized Ghazal, after then he wrote 500 Ghazals in Hindavi or Hindi language. So when Ghazal came to India, it was criticized by many poets and many critics. We see that in the 17th century there is the birth of Urdu language in India. Urdu or Rekhta was born in Delhi, in the military camps in Delhi. In the 17th century, a great Urdu poet whose name is Wali Dakhni. This Wali Dakhni, he tried his hand in writing Ghazal in Urdu language. And because of this, he was the first Urdu poet to try his hand in Ghazal writing, and because of this, Wali Dakhni is known as the father of Urdu Ghazal. And this poetic form of Ghazal was liked by so many 17th century, 18th century, and 19th century poets, Urdu poets, especially Mirza Ghalib, who is known as the master of Urdu Ghazal, one of the best Ghazalkars in the world. So Wali Dakhni, when he wrote first Ghazal in Urdu language, and this poetic form of Ghazal was liked by so many Urdu poets or Hindi poets like Mirza Ghalib, Daag, Dehelvi, Mir Taqi Mir, Momin, Sauda, Hali, Mir Dard, the poets of the 19th century like Shakil, Dushyant Kumar Tyagi, Hafiz Zalandari, Dr. Allama Iqbal, and the poets of the 20th and 21st century like Dr. Rahat Induri or Munawwar Rana. And nowadays we see that Ghazal has been written by the poets in every Indian languages, in all the major Indian languages. So today Ghazal is written in Marathi, Hindi, Gujarati, Oriya, Kannada. So in so many Indian languages, Ghazal is written today. In the 19th and the 20th century, Ghazal spread its feet in the European countries also. Many European countries like Spain, France, Greece, Germany, in these countries Ghazal was written in their respective languages. But as compared to these Ghazals, English Ghazal is a recent phenomenon in literature. The first English Ghazal was written in 1980s, and it was written by a great Kashmiri American poet whose name is Agha Shahid Ali. Agha Shahid Ali was a migrated poet. He migrated to America in 1976, and during his residence in USA, he wrote many English ghazals. And this poetic form of ghazal, which was something new on the part of English writing fraternity, it was something new and innovative. And some of the English poets of 1980s, the poets like Adrian Rich, W. Merwin, Phyllis Webb, Patricia Smith, Len Anderson, John Hollander. So some of the USA poets of 1980s and 90s, they were attracted by this poetic form of ghazal, and they also started writing ghazal like Agha Shahid Ali. So in this way, ghazal has come in English language also. I have given a description of the origin and development of ghazal in Persian language, in Hindi language, Urdu language, in major languages of the world, as well as in English language. After that, I would like to describe briefly the structure of ghazal. Ghazal is a series of couplets. Couplet is a stanza of 2 lines. And ghazal is a series of couplets in which every couplet is an independent poetry. Ghazal is written in a single meter. If ghazal is not written in a single meter, it will not be called as ghazal. So the structure of ghazal is precise. The structure of ghazal is precise. There must be the strict adherence to the structure of ghazal, the rules of writing. There should be the strict adherence to the adoption of matla, makta, radif, kafiya, and bahr. Without the use of matla, makta, radif, kafiya, and bahr, the composition will not be called as ghazal. So ghazal is a series of couplets in which every couplet is autonomous in nature. Every couplet has its own identity. It is independent poetry. There are 5 components of ghazal. As I have pointed out, the structure of ghazal is precise. And there are 5 components of ghazal. The first one is matla, which is known as opening couplet. The opening couplet is known as matla in Urdu or Persian language. In matla there are 2 lines. The first line of matla is known as Misra Ula, and the second line is known as Misra Sani. There should be at least 5 couplets in a ghazal. Minimum 5 and maximum 25 couplets must be there in Ghazal. This is a rule of Ghazal structure. So the first couplet of or the opening couplet of Ghazal is called as Matla, while the last couplet of Ghazal is known as Makta. Makta is also called as the closing couplet or takallus, in which the poet or the Ghazal writer he uses his name. The third component of Ghazal is Bahr. Bahr in English it is called as meter. There should be the use of only 1 meter in Ghazal. This is the first and the foremost important rule in writing Ghazal. So, Matla must be there, Makta must be there, and the third important component of Ghazal, and that is meter or Bahr. The fourth is Radif and Kafiya. Radif is known as refrain, and refrain means the word which comes at the end of line. It is known as refrain. And Kafiya means the rhyme which is preceded by Radif. Radif means refrain and Kafiya means monorhyme. So, in order to give you an exact idea what is Radif or Kafiya, what is refrain and monorhyme, I would like to give you an example. And this example is given by English Ghazal writer whose name is Muhammad Shabir. In one of his Ghazal, he says, God may leave her glad always. The matla is, God may leave her glad always, a girl who makes me sad always. Now I know what says Nightingale, the fruit of love is bad always. Here at the end of every line there is the use of the word always, always, always. This word always is called as radif or refrain. And the words that are used here, glad, bad, sad, these are kafiyas or monorhymes. So these are the 5 important components of Ghazal. Matla, Makta, Matla means opening couplet, Makta means closing couplet. Then there is Bahr, Bahr means meter. Then there is Radif, Radif means refrain. Monorhyme means kafiya. These are the main components of Ghazal. Thematically, there are 2 types of Ghazal. And these are called as Musalsil Ghazal and Gair Musalsil Ghazal. The Ghazals that are written on a single theme, they are known as Musalsil Ghazal. And the Ghazals that are written on a variety of themes, they are called as Gair Musalsil Ghazal. So thematically there are 2 types of Ghazal, Musalsil Ghazal and Gair Musalsil Ghazal. Structurally there are again 2 types of Ghazals, Murardab Ghazal and Gair Murardab Ghazal. The Ghazals that have refrain in them, they are called as Murardab Ghazal. The Ghazals that don't have Radif or refrain, they are known as Gair Murardab Ghazal. The reason why I have given the description of the structure of Ghazal and the main components of Ghazal as well as the types of Ghazal, the reason is that the researchers can conduct research on the 5 components. The effective use of Matla and Makta in XYZ's English Ghazals. The effective use of takallus in XYZ's English Ghazals. The effective metrical use in the Ghazals of ... XYZ person, XYZ English Ghazal poet or English Ghazal writer. The Musalsil Ghazals of ... English Ghazal writer. So these are the various topics on which the aspirant researchers can conduct their research. After that, I would like to acquaint with the students or the researchers some of the important ghazal writers in English. One of them, the most important of all the ghazal writers, is Agha Shahid Ali. Agha Shahid Ali is called as the exponent of English ghazal. Agha Shahid Ali is actually an Indian poet. He was born in India, in Srinagar, Kashmir, in the year 1949. After then, he migrated to USA in 1976, and he held there several teaching positions in USA. And while his residence in USA, he had published several collections of his poems. The collections of his poems like Call Me Ismail Tonight, The Rooms Are Never Finished, The Veiled Suit, The Half-Inch Himalayas, The Country Without Post Office. In all these collections of his poetry, the ghazals of Agha Shahid Ali are scattered. So if any researcher wishes to conduct research on Agha Shahid Ali's ghazals, he can take separately a single theme of Agha Shahid Ali's English ghazals. He has written his ghazals on his theme of migration, theme of travel, theme of Indianness, American culture, theme of loss, theme of exile, diaspora, and so on. So the aspirant researchers can also conduct research on Agha Shahid Ali's ghazal structure also. So there are some other English ghazal writers, and they are writing in the 20th century, in 21st century also. And it is in the 20th century that the ghazal creation witnessed prosperity and glory to an excellent extent. In the 20th century, a number of USA poets like James Clarence, Mangan, Adrian Rich, Phyllis Webb, James Elroy, Flecker, they tried to experiment this poetic form of ghazal in their poetry. In the latter half of the 20th century, the ghazal started to be recognized as a poetic form in English language. A number of American poets were attracted by this poetic form. But a very few, including Agha Shahid Ali, W.S. Merwin, John Hollander, Len Anderson, Phyllis Webb, Patricia Smith, they tried to achieve perfection in their ghazal structure. The ghazals that are written by most of USA poets, they are not up to the mark. The ghazals that are written by some of the English ghazal writers of the 20th century in USA, they may be betterly called as free ghazals. Their ghazals resemble to be ghazals as their couplets show separate identity in independent poems, and their efforts to follow the pattern or the structure of ghazal. The contemporary ghazal writers tried to display internal consistency relating line and length. In today's literary scenario, some of the English poets have succeeded also in order to establish themselves as English ghazal writers. The poets like Patricia Smith, Len Anderson, Glenn Maxwell, Merlin Priestley, Maxim Cumming, Edward Lowery, Robert Pinsky, Spencer Rees. These are some of the USA poets writing in English language. They are English ghazals. and they try to achieve perfection, but their ghazals are called as free ghazals because they have not achieved perfection in thematic and structural aspect of their ghazals. Agha Shahid Ali and his contribution to English ghazal is tremendously great. But beside Agha Shahid Ali, there are some of the important English ghazal writers also, and one of them is Adrienne Rich. Adrienne Rich and her contribution to English ghazal deserves special attention. Her collaborative work with Azaz Ahmad is well known. Most of the ghazals of Adrienne Rich are based on love, politics of the day, and her yearning for the emancipation of women, the homosexuals, etc. Adrienne Rich tried to insert into her poetry, her ghazals, new words, new images, the myths from foreign literature. Beside her own ghazals, she also translated the Urdu ghazals of Mirza Ghalib into English, which brought her name and fame and established herself as a good translator and a critic. Like Ghalib, Adrienne Rich abundantly used nature elements to express her ideas. Like Mirza Ghalib, she created an ambiguity in her couplets, and like Mirza Ghalib, this Adrienne Rich practiced a number of allusions to other literary, social, economic, politic, and historical personalities and incidents in her ghazal. So Adrienne Rich is also one of the uh, excellent English ghazal writers. W.S. Merwin is there. W.S. Merwin was a Pulitzer Prize winner and a great literary personality of America. When Ayaz Ahmad, a great Pakistani critic and literature living in New York, took the project of publishing translation of Ghalib's Ghazal into English, there was with him W.S. Merwin. W.S. Merwin's contributed Azaz project, and his contribution is also included in one of the uh, best known writings of Agha Shahid Ali, ravishing disunity's real ghazals in English. One of the famous English ghazal writers of worldwide fame, his name is John Hollander. He is a famous American poet, editor, and anthologist. He is famous as a free ghazal writer of America and known for his open ghazals. He has written ghazals usually without the strict pattern of traditional form. And because of this, John Hollander is known as open ghazal writer. Phyllis Webb is also a ghazal writer of reputation. He is a Canadian poet and a writer who worked as broadcaster. In the preface of her book, Phyllis Webb writes that her anti-ghazals focus on the particular, the local, the dialectical, and personal. Her ghazals are better called as anti-ghazals, and her anti-ghazals present her love feelings, intimate relationship between male and female, and her poetic and personal experiences. Phyllis Webb defies every rule of the ghazal form and the ghazalness of her ghazals or anti-ghazals. Another important name in the history of English ghazal is Lane Anderson, who is an American poet and physicist. He is famous for his Invited by the Night and affection for the unknowable. He wrote several English ghazals as well as published his various articles on ghazal verse. So, if any researcher wants to conduct research on English ghazal, these some of the great English ghazal writers in the form of Phyllis Webb, John Hollander, Lynn Anderson also. Patricia Smith is also an American author of 7 books of poetry and a winner of National Poetry Slam for 4 times. And her name is Patricia Smith. She has won numerous awards for her remarkable contribution to poetry, especially ghazal. She is a journalist, poet, mystery writer, historian, a performer, and children's book writer. And she is specially famous for his English ghazals. So this lady Patricia Smith is also famous for his important ghazals that she has written in English language. Elsie Pishin is also a renowned American writer and a poet of worldwide fame, who wrote Bestiary, Houses, Coast, and she also published her poems and her ghazals in many magazines, many periodicals of worldwide fame. This lady is significant American writer, novelist, a poet and essayist. The another writer, a special mention may be made is John Thompson, who was a Canadian poet, translator and university professor. He is well recognized for his mystery ghazals, and his mastery of poetic forms is seen in his ghazal structure. He is widely credited as the first to bring the ghazal to Canada. He published his ghazals in his book of ghazals Stilt Jack, which was published in 1978. And his preface to this book of ghazals is also well known for his criticism of ghazal. A special mention should be made of Denise Levertov. Denise Levertov is a prolific writer, a poet and essayist, activist and humanist. Under the influence of Adrienne Rich ghazals, she started composing ghazals in English and published her ghazals as broken ghazals. But her ghazals are not so successful as genuine ghazals. James Clarence Mangan, an Irish poet and a scholar, is specially praised for beautiful ghazals. He is a romantic poet and is compared to S.T. Coleridge. His ghazals comprise a variety of themes. Elizabeth Spires is also a renowned American university teacher who has tried her hand in English ghazal writing. In this way, some of the noted ghazal writers in English I have mentioned. These ghazal writers have widened the scope of English ghazal. English ghazal and in its prosperity flourished mostly in America, and nowadays many American poets have turned to English ghazal writing due to its intrinsic beauty, natural rhythm, dramatic paradox, the contradictory statements, the imaginative thinking, the immediate response from the readers, and a variety of themes of love, unconditional love, romance, society, mysticism, humanity, and whatnot. Every themes are included in Ghazal, and nowadays Ghazal is written on each and every topic. In recent literary scenario, the Ghazal tradition is practiced in many countries like India, Pakistan, Iran, America, Germany, Spain, England, France, Italy, etc. In some countries, ghazal are set to music and have gained commercial popularity as recording and in movies. A number of English poets tried their hand in this comparatively difficult poetic genre of English ghazal. Ghazal came from Arabia or Persia and soon attracted the attention of the worldwide poets. And today we see that in the hands of inborn and talented literary geniuses, it has glorified and won a special position in the literary genre of great pride and prestige. Ghazal, which was once revolved around the general themes of love and romance, they have widened the scope. And in the hands of great craftsmen, Ghazal has represented a diversity of themes. So, in this way, I have described the origin and development of Ghazal, Arabian, Persian Ghazal, English Ghazal also. I have described the main components of Ghazal, the structure of Ghazal. I have mentioned some of the important Ghazal writers of 20th century and 21st century in English language. And I have also described some of the types of ghazals, the thematic and structural types of ghazal. So the main intention in my talk, as you know that the title of my talk is English Ghazal, a new horizon in research. My main intention is to attract the attention of the scholars of English towards a very less known topic of English Ghazal. The Ghazal is also written in English language, and that's why the students are the researchers, the scholars, the academicians of English language and literature, they should study English ghazals also. And they should conduct their research on English ghazals also. There is a need to conduct research on the representative English ghazal writers like Aga Shahid Ali, Adrian Rich, Phyllis Webb, John Thompson, Lynn Anderson, John Hollander, Patricia Smith, Phyllis Webb, W. Mervyn, William Matthews, Elizabeth Spires, etc. So there is a need to conduct research on English ghazal, and that's why I have selected this topic. So in this talk, I have talked about the origin and development of ghazal, the origin and development of English ghazal. And I have also introduced some of the major English ghazal writers of the contemporary scenario. So my talk is over. So Dr. Vaibhav Masram. So here I want to finish my talk. So thank you for listening and enduring me. And I am thankful to Dr. Vivek Joshi sir, Dr. Vaibhav Masram sir for giving me an opportunity to talk on this topic of English Ghazal, a new horizon in research. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nomesh sir, for the valuable information and explain the key aspects of English ghazal. Through the first sessions on English ghazal, sir has explained the new world of English ghazal, origin and development of English ghazal, and sir also explained the opportunities in the research of ghazal. Because sir's topic is new for our students, and it's the main motive of Nomesh series to introduce the new areas of teaching, literature, and research for our UG and PT students in Gondwana University, Gadchiroli. Through this first session, student will familiar with some Urdu word, which is the mostly used in ghazals, just like Bahar, Kafiya, or Matla. And this session created some enthusiasm in the minds of students about the ghazal. Uh, Thank you, Dr. Nomesh sir, uh, for the first sessions and the valuable guidance about the noise in the noise series 2.0.
Okay.
Uh, I think uh, anyone want to ask some questions? Write in chat box. Now we are moving towards to the question and answer sessions. Is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
visible, sir? Write the two questions in chat box. The first question is from to the Dr. Pramod Zave is what did it origin and is it bound to any specific structure?
Sir, what is the question?
Where did it where did it origin
Yeah. Ghazal,
and
huh.
and is it
And
bound to any specific structure?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Ghazal is actually originated in Persian language, and it was written by the great Persian poet Ki Rudki, a great Persian poet of the 9th century, Persia. So it was originated in Persian language. And your second question, sub question is that is it bound to particular structure? Sir, actually, Ghazal is a poetic form and it is strictly bound to a structure. Without structure, no Ghazal is possible. In my talk, I have given the structure of Ghazal. The structure of Ghazal is that there must be the five components like Matla, Makta, Beher, Radif, Kapiya. Without this structure and without using these components, uh, there can no Ghazal. And because of this, I say that Ghazal is a poetic form which is strictly bound to structure. Sir,
Thank you for your response. Another one is question from our alumni, Swati Ragam. The question is, what are the scope of Ghazal in today's literature research, and how
ah,
do PG students deal with Ghazal as a research topic?
yeah, yeah. In my talk, I have mentioned some of the English Ghazal writers. Actually, the problem is that English Ghazal have not taken any scope in the syllabus of MA or BA today. This is the reason why no researcher or no students are aware about English Ghazal. But English Ghazal is a recent phenomenon in literature, and that's why English Ghazals are not prescribed in the syllabus. And if you are a researcher, you must find out new and innovative topics. And English Ghazal is a innovative and new topic in the research. And if you want to conduct research on English Ghazal, I have mentioned some of the names of English Ghazal writers like Aga Shahid Ali, W. Mervyn, Phyllis Webb, Patricia Smith, Lane Anderson, John Hollander. You can search them on your internet, or personally you can call me and I will surely guide you about English Ghazal and English Ghazal writers. So there is a wide scope for research on this topic of English Ghazal. Some another question?
Anyone from to the participant to ask any questions related with the topic to switch on your mic and ask to Dr. Nomesh. I think no question is from to the
Uh,
participants.
excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely. Okay.
Is I'm sir
Ask
visible?
Mr. G.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
yeah, yeah.
Yes, please.
Sir, what is the main difference between the poetry and the ghazal?
The main difference between the poetry and ghazal is that ghazal is written in only couplet.
Couplets.
Ghazal is written in only couplet.
Couplet.
But
Yes, sir.
the common ghazal, the common poetry, in common poetry, you will see that couplet is also there, tercet is also there, quatrain is also there, Spenserian stanza
Yes,
is
sir.
also used, the free verse is also there, the blank verse is also there. The main difference between ghazal and common poetry is regarding couplet. There is a use of couplet in ghazal, but in every poetry there is not the use of couplet.
Sir, as we know
Yeah,
that, sir, there are various forms of poetry. Like that, sir,
yeah,
is there any forms of ghazals?
yeah. I have told you the main two types of ghazals.
Yes, sir.
Thematically, there are two types of ghazal. They are known as musalsil ghazal, the ghazals that are written on a single theme. And another type is gair musalsil ghazals, the ghazals that are written on different themes. This is the second type of ghazal. Structurally, also, there are two types of ghazal, muradab ghazal and gair muradab ghazal. Means the ghazals that have refrain in them, they are known as muradab ghazal, and the ghazals that don't have refrain in them, they are called as gair muradib ghazal. These are the different types of ghazal.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Some other question?
No, sir.
Uh, if anyone wants to research in the fields of English Ghazal, so department will be share the number of Nomesh, with the information.
Sure, sure.
Now we are moving to the last stage of these sessions, and I call Dr. Pramod sir to the topic.
Thank you very much, Vaibhav sir. Now it's time for vote of thanks. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
So at the outset, I would uh, express vote of thanks for our today's speaker, Dr. Nomesh Meshram, who has been from Mahatma Gandhi College, Armory. And sir, you have enlightened the students right from the origin, development, and types to the various practitioners worldwide to this genre, Ghazal. It was enriching for the students. Also, at the end, you showed immense possibilities which are lying with this genre for research purpose. So definitely, our students will get certain ideas about how to proceed with research as well. And if at all they want to pursue this kind of genre in writing like poetry, they might be benefited and they might get certain ideas from this session. We are extremely thankful for you because you spared your busy time, and also it is very essential for thanking to the participants as well. All the participants from first year, second years have joined on time and they have maintained their patience for this sunny summer, extreme sunny summer. So although it was somewhat odd time, but our participants haven't went away with us, being the topic so interesting for them and you as well. So I hope such topics will be there with interesting for the students in the days to come as well. And with this, with everybody whosoever has given us support in organizing this kind of initiative, I'm thankful on behalf of the entire organizing team. Thank you very much, sir, for you especially, and to all the ones who have been here. Thank you very much. With
Welcome,
this,
sir.
with the permission
Welcome,
of
sir.
the head, I conclude this session on behalf of the team. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.